All right, diving in. Today's deep dive is all about the world of foreclosure specialists. Now, I gotta admit, when you send over these RoleCatcher guides, I pictured, well, spreadsheets and legal jargon. Not exactly the most thrilling stuff.
Yeah, I can see why you'd think that, but trust me, there's way more to it.
Okay, you've got me intrigued. So break it down for me. What does a foreclosure specialist really do?
Okay, imagine this. Someone's on the verge of losing their home, right? They've fallen behind on their mortgage payments, it's stressful, it's confusing, and that's where a foreclosure specialist comes in.
So they're kind of like a guide through this whole foreclosure process.
Exactly. They help homeowners figure out their options, and that doesn't always mean saving the home. Sometimes it's about, navigating the process in a way that minimizes the damage. But get this, and the RoleCatcher guides really emphasize this. It's not just about crunching numbers and reviewing documents, though there's definitely a lot of that.
Right.
It's also about connecting with people, on a human level during what might be one of the most challenging times in their lives.
Wow. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it that way. So it takes a certain kind of person to do this job well, someone with like a good head on their shoulders and a big heart.
You hit the nail on the head. They need that balance of empathy and analytical skills, which, according to these guides, is a pretty unique combination.
Okay, so let's say someone is interested in this career path. What does the day-to-day actually look like, and how does that change as you move up the ladder?
Okay, so picture yourself fresh out of school, just starting out. You're probably assisting senior specialists, diving into the nitty-gritty, think combing through foreclosure documents, verifying property ownership, maybe even using specialized software to manage caseloads and track deadlines.
Specialized software. See, this is what I mean, already more techy than I initially thought.
Oh, absolutely. The guide even mentions how important it is for aspiring foreclosure specialists to be comfortable with data analysis tools.
Hmm.
We're talking using algorithms to predict foreclosure trends or assess risk.
Wow. That's fascinating. I guess, in today's world, tech really does touch everything. Okay, so back to our entry-level specialist, what's next?
Right, so as you gain experience, you'll move into a junior specialist role. You'll start interacting more directly with clients, like explaining those complex legal and financial terms, but in a way that, actually makes sense to them.
I bet that takes some serious communication skills, especially when you're dealing with people who are already stressed and overwhelmed.
Absolutely. That's where those soft skills, things like active listening and empathy, those become really crucial. And it's not just about explaining things clearly, it's about like building trust and rapport. For a lot of these homeowners, this is their first time facing foreclosure.
That's a really good point. I can see how just feeling heard and understood could make a world of difference for someone going through all of that. Okay, so they've mastered the art of communication. What's the next step up?
All right, so now picture this. You've climbed the ranks, you're an intermediate foreclosure specialist. You're managing your own caseload now. That means you're not just reviewing documents, you're conducting property assessments, maybe even working with real estate agents if the property needs to be sold.
Okay, so it's getting real. They're not just dealing with paperwork anymore. They're out in the field, making decisions that have real-world consequences.
Exactly. And this is where that blend of, financial savvy and real estate knowledge becomes super important. They're analyzing financial documents, they're understanding market trends, and they're figuring out the best course of action for each case.
Sounds like there's a lot of responsibility at that level, but also a lot of potential to make a real impact. So what does the view look like from the top? What does a senior foreclosure specialist do?
At the senior level, it becomes much more strategic. Think like big picture stuff, developing strategies for the entire team, conducting those more complex property assessments, leading negotiations with lenders. You're the go-to expert. The RoleCatcher guides highlight how experience, combined with certifications like the Certified Foreclosure Specialist designation, can really make your expertise shine.
So they're not just managing cases anymore. They're shaping the way their team handles these situations and maybe even influencing the industry as a whole.
Exactly. They're mentoring junior team members, making sure everyone is up to date on the latest regulations, and maybe even like advocating for policy changes that could help prevent foreclosures in the future.
It's interesting. We often hear foreclosure specialist and we picture someone in a suit, all business. But from what you're describing, it's so much more nuanced.
Absolutely. It's that balance, like we said, of head and heart. And these guides, they really drive home the point that emotional intelligence isn't just some buzzword in this field. It's a necessity.
Okay, so let's say they have the skills, they've got the knowledge, the drive. What's the path to actually landing a job in this field? What do these role catcher guides, what do they recommend?
Well, the good news is there isn't like one cookie cutter path. A bachelor's degree in a related field, something like finance, real estate, maybe even law, that can give you a solid foundation for sure. But these guides, they also stress real-world experience. You can get that through internships or even entry-level positions in like mortgage lending or property management.
So it's not just what you know, but if you can actually apply it.
Precisely. And that's where those transferable skills come in. Having, say, a customer service background. Huge asset in this role, especially when you're talking about communicating with those distressed homeowners.
That makes a lot of sense. Being able to, handle difficult conversations with empathy, with understanding, that's got to be crucial no matter what industry you're in.
Okay, so let's say someone's got the education, the experience, they're ready to put themselves out there. How do they use these RoleCatcher resources to their advantage? Well, this is where RoleCatcher really shines. They have this amazing AI-powered platform that just takes job searching to a whole new level.
Okay.
First off, massive database of job postings. We're talking specifically tailored to fields like foreclosure, filter by location, experience level, even keywords related to, the exact skills mentioned in these guides.
So it's way more targeted than just like the generic job boards.
Exactly.
Mm.
But it gets better.
Oh,
RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze your resume
wow.
and compare it to like the specific requirements of different jobs.
It's like having like a personal career coach, but right there in your pocket.
Exactly. So let's say you find this posting, right? Junior foreclosure specialist, but you're just not sure if your resume is really highlighting the right things. RoleCatcher can point that out.
Yeah.
Which keywords to add, which accomplishments to emphasize. It's all about making sure you stand out.
So it's not just about finding the jobs, but presenting yourself as like the ideal candidate. That's brilliant.
Right. And don't even get me started on the interview prep tools.
Oh, there's more.
There's a whole library of practice questions, right?
Right.
And they're tailored to different industries, different job titles. You can even record yourself answering these questions and get AI-powered feedback, like on your delivery, your content.
Wow. Okay, so we're talking next level interview prep. No more, awkward silences or rambling answers.
Exactly. RoleCatcher gives you that extra edge, that confidence boost you need to just walk into that interview and nail it.
Sounds invaluable.
Yeah.
Especially for someone just starting out in a field like this. Okay, so we've covered the skills, the education, the job search, but I kind of want to circle back to something we touched on earlier, which is, the emotional toll this job can take. These guys mention high levels of stress. That's one of the main drawbacks. How does someone in this role, how do they manage that? What are the coping mechanisms?
That's such an important question. And the guides, they really stress self-care. Remember, foreclosure specialists, they're dealing with other people's stress, their anxiety every single day. It's bound to have an impact.
Right, so it's not just about like being empathetic towards others, but also having empathy for yourself.
Yeah.
Knowing when to step back, when to recharge.
Exactly. Whether it's exercise, meditation, spending time in nature, finding healthy ways to de-stress outside of work is crucial.
And I imagine having a good support system, both personally and professionally, could make a world of difference.
Absolutely. Talking to colleagues, mentors, even a therapist, it provides that outlet for processing those emotions, gaining perspective.
It sounds like self-awareness is key in this field, being able to, recognize your own limits, knowing when to ask for help, prioritizing your own well-being alongside the needs of your clients.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
It's funny, we talk about work-life balance all the time, but it feels like in a role like this where those lines can get so blurry that balance is even more crucial.
Absolutely. And finding that balance, it's going to look different for everyone. The key is being intentional, creating those boundaries, setting realistic expectations, and again, prioritizing your own well-being alongside those career goals.
Yeah, it's like they say, right, can't pour from an empty cup. Speaking of, I'm curious, what about like the unexpected rewards or just, surprising aspects of this job? The guides mention job stability, earning potential, but I imagine there's got to be more to it than that.
Oh, absolutely. This is a field where you can find real personal and professional fulfillment. The RoleCatcher guides, they actually highlighted a few stories from like real foreclosure specialists.
Yeah.
And they talked about this deep satisfaction they get from, helping people through these incredibly difficult situations.
So it really is more than just a job. It's about making a real difference.
Precisely. Imagine, like, helping a family stay in their home. Preventing that upheaval and uncertainty of foreclosure, those are the moments that make it all worthwhile.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly rewarding to see that kind of direct impact. It's not every day you find a career that, combines that financial expertise with social impact.
And that brings me to another fascinating point the guides made, this whole idea of how the field is evolving.
Yeah. Okay, I'm intrigued. What kind of evolution are we talking about?
Well, I mean, we talked about technology, how that's playing a bigger and bigger role.
Yeah.
But there are also these broader, like, social and economic trends that are shaping the future of foreclosure. Like,
Yeah.
the guides pointed to this growing focus on financial literacy and, responsible homeownership.
Right, right. Which makes sense. The more people understand about mortgages, interest rates, just the long-term financial implications of owning a home, the better equipped they'll be to avoid, potential problems down the road.
Exactly. And as this whole emphasis on financial literacy grows, we could see foreclosure specialists taking on a much more like proactive role,
Yeah.
educating borrowers, promoting financial well-being, maybe even, advocating for policies that could help prevent these situations from happening in the first place.
That's a fascinating shift. Almost like the role could expand to include, like, I don't know, financial counseling or community outreach.
Definitely a possibility. And it highlights the need for foreclosure specialists to be adaptable, right?
Yeah.
To embrace new approaches and to continually learn and grow those skills beyond like the traditional boundaries of the role.
I can picture it now. Foreclosure specialists leading these workshops at, like, community centers, partnering with organizations to provide financial literacy programs, or even working directly with borrowers to create, like, these sustainable homeownership plans. It's a very different image than what a lot of people probably have in their heads.
Exactly. And breaking down those stereotypes, it's so important because at the end of the day, it's about empowering people, giving them the tools they need, the knowledge, so they can make smart decisions about their futures.
Absolutely. And that's something we can all get behind. So for anyone listening out there, maybe they're considering a career as a foreclosure specialist. What's, like, the one piece of advice you'd give them?
I'd say embrace the human element. Yes, this job requires those technical skills, analytical thinking, you'll be able to navigate these complex systems. But at its core, it's about people.
Yeah.
Understanding their stories, their challenges. It's about being an advocate, a guide, sometimes even just a source of hope. If you can approach this work with competence and compassion, you'll be well on your way to a successful and fulfilling career.
That's great advice. And, it's a good reminder for all of us, no matter what we do. The human element, empathy, making a difference, that's what matters.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive into the world of foreclosure specialists. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and for helping us see this path in a whole new light.
It was my pleasure. Always happy to dive deep with you.
And to everyone listening, we hope you found this exploration as fascinating as we did. Remember, knowledge is power. And the more you know about different career options out there, the better equipped you'll be to make those decisions about your own future. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.